So I'm here with Black author Latifah Hameen. She is the author of 10 books, and she recently wrote a children's book, Aleem's New Challenge, which is about bullying. Uh, like first, I want to talk about like your background. Like you've written a number of books. Can you talk about like some of the books you've written?
Well, I have my first book, Suffering in Silence, Breaking the Cycle of Abuse. I was in and out of abusive relationships for a greater amount of my adult life. And so once I broke the cycle, I said, let me write this book. And it was a hard task because I had to pour out all of the feelings and all of the things that had happened. So when I wrote that book, that was my story. And once I wrote the book, then I had a nonprofit. I started a nonprofit, Healthy Positive Choices. From there, I wanted to, help teens and young adults, educate them so they wouldn't venture into domestic violence. So that was my main thrust when I started writing. So I wrote a workbook for, also wrote a workbook for teens. Then I wrote a workbook for adults. Then I have a domestic violence awareness advocate program that I have that it's like a course. So I wrote that for adults. So I've gotten, I've done those, and I've gone to schools and I've talked with some of the teens in the schools. I've gone to other programs. So that was my main thing, is to get this message out, to educate people, young adults and teens, so that they won't venture into domestic violence. Or if they do happen to venture into it, they know they have the education. And when they do it, they'll be conscious of what's going on. Where I was not conscious, I just kind of stumbled into this thing. So this was something that it took a long time for me to grasp it as an adult, because I just didn't know anything about it. So that's where my journey started in writing these books, my workbooks. Most of my books are domestic violence awareness. And then I have a couple of poetry books that I've written. And those poetry books, they reach deep within my soul as well. So each one of my books that I've written, I have a poem at the end of the chapter. So that is how, with the poetry and the writing, that's how I've expressed my domestic violence and how I've gotten through it and how I've become victorious in what I'm doing now. So.
Wow, I applaud you. You're doing some really important work. Domestic violence is so prevalent in our society. You see it all the time. And it's on both sides. Like, I'm thinking about like, the Jonathan Majors like trial, which starts today. And opening arguments begin. He was accused, and like I guess information has come out, like, that he was like falsely accused that the woman was actually like, the domestic violence abuser. How do people, avoid getting in domestic violence relationships?
Well, it's like there's red flags, what we call red flags. So if someone is, the two most noticeable things are possession and control. So if you know that you start talking to someone and you know they're trying to possess you, they're trying to keep control over you all the time and trying to ask where you're going. And I mean, you can kind of pick up on red flags. Because mostly when we look at abuse, it's more of a hierarchy, because there's no equality in abuse. So when someone is trying to get that upper hand on you and trying to control you and trying to keep you in your place, if you will, and some those type of things, and always trying to make you're the victim, trying to make you that victim, and they want to be the one that towers over everything you do and control everything you do. So when you start seeing little bitty things like that, then you have to say, well, let me, this is a red flags here. So let me take heed to this. Maybe I need to step back and examine what's going on so that I can get a better grip on it. Because see, once you start getting your emotions involved, you start taking those things and putting them on the back burner. And that's what we have to realize, because once emotions are involved, then your logic goes goes out the window. So we really have to be really astute at the beginning of a relationship and really stand back before you just start diving in, because you can really be in for a rude awakening.
Uh, you bring up like your interesting point because you talk about like, as far as like control. I watch like, some red pill content creators. I'm not sure if you're familiar with red pill content or you do you know what that is?
Mm,
So it's
no.
like, just basically like hosts, like, there's podcasts like Fresh and Fit. And like one of their emphasis is like, that women need to be submissive in relationships. And like, I think like, there's like a lot of like, rhetoric that they put out that isn't necessarily like healthy towards like, relationships. And it seems like, they're particularly trying to control women. I wanted to ask your opinion of it, but like if you haven't seen it, like, we could just skip that. But like Aleem's new challenge, it was written for younger readers. What made you want to write a book for, people who are, 7 to 10 as opposed to adults like you got
Well,
previously?
yes. Well, because I started with adults, adult females, and some males. I've had males as well. And then I went to teens, because that was my main thrust, is teens and young adults. Because I know if we can get them started at a young age, and if we can get them to have knowledge at a young age, then as they get older, they don't have to wait until they're an adult before they're actually exposed to this type of thing. And when we think about abuse, we just think about relationships, man and woman relationships, but there's so many other abuse, siblings. We have, mother to children, children to their parents. I mean, we just have a lot of it. We have office in the office. You have the boss to the employee. So there's more than just relationships. Sometimes people want to bundle it just in one area, but it's a broad area. So what I did after I went to the teens, I said, I'd like to have something for the young adult, I mean, the young children, so that maybe they can start getting in their mind that just because they're in the household and they don't have a significant other or something like that, the younger children, they have to start looking at that on the level of their siblings and saying, wow, I am abusing my brother or sister, or I am bullying my brother or sister. So this is what I'm looking to come out of this, is to for them to think about that, or something triggers in them, put it into their subconscious, because things go into your subconscious, and then maybe they can think, wow, I'm actually abusing my younger brother or sister, or being or bullying them. So that's kind of where I was coming from with that.
That's powerful. You have a powerful mission. I was reading how you have a play that you wrote, and it's based on the book Suffering in Silence, Breaking the Silence of Abuse. And you're currently seeking a production company to produce it into a movie in the near future. Can you talk about that?
Yes, well, it was it was one of the ladies, young lady that asked me about doing the book. This was during the pandemic, actually, and so she lived in another city, so she was a producer. I'm talking about in terms of playwriter. She's a playwright. So we were talking and started talking about different things like that. And she asked me about my book, because she had given my book to someone. And so we just got to talking, and she says, it's the pandemic, so let's think about writing a book, because everybody's at home at this time. So she had the time, and so she got my book, and her and I, we went back and forth, and she actually had, wrote the play with my assistance on different things that she would ask me about various things. We kind of altered a little bit in terms of how things went about, but it was still the same thing in terms of the abuse. So that's what happened with that. And so I have it, and I've been looking for that. I've had a couple of people to contact me, but it's a brutal world out there with the production and plays. And I've talked to a lot of people, and people are, it's something out there. So I have to really be careful and not just jump into the first thing that comes along. So I'm still working and looking for that.
I understand. you started your nonprofit organization, Healthy Positive Choices, in 2007. What made you decide to choose to start a nonprofit?
Well, because I wanted to give back. My thing is, I'm a humanitarian. I want to give back to the community. I want to make a difference in the lives of people. I've had people tell me people I didn't even know that we started talking. I started talking about the book. Oh, I have that book, or I gave that to somebody. So if I can just help one person, that can help another person, that can help another person to, to detour them from going into abuse. I feel like I'm doing something. I'm doing my job in terms of helping humanity, helping other people. So I don't know who all has all of those books, but if I can keep doing that and keep putting that out there, then I feel like I'm making a difference. So that's my main thing there is really making a difference.
You're definitely inspiring. Like, I was reading about how you donate, like, some of your book sales to a percentage of them to the Black community. And you also give your time, like, to churches and mosques, schools, community centers, and other groups. And I thought that was like, really inspirational. What drives you, like, to get your message out there and, like, give back?
Well, I currently am the CEO for American Muslim 360, and all of these things that we do are on a volunteer basis. And we have a radio program, a blog talk radio program, and I have about approximately 18 hosts that I'm over. And so what we do with that is we put that message out there. Now everybody, they have their own program, but what I do is I have a program called Making Healthy Choices, and I do that as well, and I get that message out there. And then things that we go to we go to different conferences. I want to make sure that I'm putting my information out there. When we go there, I'll take my books. So I'm trying to, like I said, just broaden that perspective there and making sure that we have all these avenues, doing thinking about doing another podcast. I have a YouTube channel. So it's like just trying to get out there and get the message out there. That's the main thing.
What's next for you?
Well, we're still working on trying to get this play produced. Um, the children's book, I want to try to promote that more and maybe go to some of the schools, maybe doing elementary schools, doing some reading, talking to the young children, that age group, the 7 to 10. I like to do something like that, and then, like I said, and just really start just broaden that perspective with the younger children because we got to start somewhere. They are tomorrow, and if we don't start somewhere trying to remake this world, our motto at American Muslim 360 is remaking this world into a better place, and that's our main thing that we're doing is remaking this world. So we step by step, person by person.
Definitely,
So we're putting a little dent in it, but we're there.
definitely. Latifah, Hameen, I really enjoy speaking with you. Where can people follow you on social media?
Well, I am. I do have a few Latifah Hameen on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. All my books are on Amazon.com. You can go on there and get any of my books, all 10 of my books there. You can reach me at uh, what is that? LA, and then my last name Hameen, Hameen, at H as in Harry, P as in Paul, choices.org. That's my email. And then I have a website, powerfulchoicesnow.com. Powerfulchoicesnow.com. And I'm going to be making another thing that I'm doing is getting out there doing a course on domestic violence awareness advocacy, and that is a certified course, and that's a 6 to 8 hour course depending on how far we get into it and discussions and things like that. And so that's another one. So if you're interested in taking that course, please by all means. And I want to put I don't mind giving my business number out, 469-288-3233. 469-288-3233. And someone can contact me if you're interested in doing anything with the play or production, you know someone or anything like that, please feel free to give me a call. I'm open and I'm very personable and I'm trying to make this happen. I'm in the business of remaking the world.
What would be your advice to first time authors?
Well, I'd say make sure in whatever you're doing that you are, whatever your purpose is, find that niche and work with that niche and make sure that you follow through, even if it's just every day. If you want to write a book, I tell people get one of those little small recorders or you get your phone and every time you have some information, put that down. Make sure you record it and then go back and look at what you recorded and kind of start putting things together. You got to start somewhere. And if you don't start by doing things just little by little by little, don't keep saying I'm going to do it and keep it in the back of your mind. Every day, do something toward that goal of writing that book.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for
You're
having
welcome.
me. I appreciate that.
Of
Okay.
course.
Now, where can will this be on YouTube? Can I get this on YouTube?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.